West, 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 West. This the West, 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 the West Coast. This the West, 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 the West, West. This the West, 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 the West Coast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will not have a four-game sweep in the NBA Finals after the Spurs get a huge win on the road in a hostile environment in New York. I'll break that down in a moment, and we have a possible series on our hands in the NBA Finals. And also, we had a thriller in Game 3 in the Stanley Cup Finals, and it may lead to a possible tie series for the losing team. I'll stay tuned for that. And guys, remember before I get started to subscribe, rate, review. This is the West Coast Mindset, and let's get to it right now. Beginning with the Spurs, just about an hour ago, getting a huge win on the road in a raucous crowd in New York. Had all the momentum. The Knicks fans have been waiting so long for this opportunity since 1999 to be back in the finals, and every celebrity you can think of was in the crowd. It was absolutely crazy to see just celebrities, and the biggest person in the room was our president, and he was there, and there was a lot of controversy involving that, and but he was there, and it was a lot of eyes on him, a lot of eyes on the people in the crowd, and overall just a great viewing experience. Not for Knicks fans though, because unfortunately their team got the L. But yeah, what resilience from the young San Antonio Spurs, man. A lot of people were killing them, including myself, after those bad performances in the second halves of those first two games out of home in the beginning of the series. I did not think that they could go into a hostile environment and do this. I thought that it could possibly be a sweep, maybe a 5 game sweep, maybe they can win game four and just play with desperation and possibly get a win. But to go in there in game three with all the bets against you, and yeah, man, they stepped up. Victor Wembanyama was his usual dominant self, and when he brings it, he was outstanding. And they got help. Everybody else was able to do their thing. Stephon Castle was also outstanding, and all the role players, everybody did their thing. They played tough on the defensive end, and I just love what I saw from the Spurs. And this is going to build with them because look, the Spurs are still a young team in development, believe it or not, man. And we saw in those first two games that their young mistakes were really hurting them, and they were making those dumb rookie mistakes that a young team should make when it comes to closing games, and it cost them. And Wemby made that bad turnover at the end of game two that really cost them, and they possibly could have won that game, but it was rookie mistakes, young mistakes, and it cost them. But in this game, they played like a veteran team. They played like a team that was together, a team that watched the film, that learned, that wants it, that locked in. And when they're locked in, they can be really really tough to beat, and they definitely were. Victor Wembanyama, 32 points, 204 from 3 point range, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks. And he was absolutely dominant. He was asking for the ball from the start. They got him involved. He was able to do more pick and rolls, get more alley dunks. He was taking guys out the dribble, and he just played with so much more confidence. And when he's engaged and he wants it, and all that, he plays a lot better. And another thing, he got 2 days of rest, and that's big because as we saw in those first two games in San Antonio, he looked tired down the stretch, and in this game he looked a lot more fresh. He had a lot more energy in him. It could be adrenaline too because he knows that he had to play with desperation, and that's another thing possibly that could have gave him more of a jolt when it comes to his energy. But he played with his hair on fire, and he played very very well, aggressive from the start. He was getting rebounds, and he was his usual dominant self on the defensive end. And overall, he played very very well, and that's what we expect from Wemby going forward. And that's what Spurs fans want going into Game Four, because this is not over. The Spurs still have a lot of work to do. They still have to win another game on the road. We know for sure there will be a Game Five in San Antonio, but I'm pretty sure the Spurs want to go back there tied instead of being down 3-1. So a lot of work to do, and Wemby knows that the job's not finished. He still has to show up again and be the best player again on the court in Game Four. But in this game, he was outstanding, and that's great to see. Stephon Castle tagged along As I said, 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Did an outstanding job defending Jalen Brunson. This was his best job defending Brunson in the series. Although if you look at the numbers, except for the fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson really hasn't really gotten off that much in this series. It's been tough for him, and you have to give credit to Stephon Castle. He's really getting up in him and making it tough, and he's using his big body and strength, and he's making Jalen Brunson work. But when it comes to crunch time, Jalen's got the best of him. But in this game, Stephon Castle stepped up and he played with some heart and he made it tough. Brunson still made a couple of shots in the fourth quarter, and like it usually does, but it wasn't those kill shots that were backbreakers in the first 2 games. So great job by Stephon Castle on both ends, and he had a couple threes. When when he's hitting his jump shot, it's really tough to defend him, because if he's hitting that shot, then you have to hug up on him on the perimeter, and then he can go by you and get in the paint. And that's when he's at his best. And when he's hitting that shot and he's doing both things well, it's really tough to stop him. He played with his hair on fire, and he played very, very well. And that combo of him and Wemby together, when they're engaged, they're really tough to stop. And they were really tough to stop in this game. And they both played very, very well. And they got some veteran veteran presence here. De'Aaron Fox played pretty well. 11 points, but there were 11 big points. 11 points, 8 assists. Hit a couple of big shots in the fourth quarter, when there is still some frustration there when I'm like, yo, get the ball to Wemby and let him take over in the final minutes. There were some times where Wemby was standing around. They weren't getting him the ball, but De'Aaron Fox was taking more of the shots, and to his credit, he hit them. But I still think that Victor Wembanyama has to be the one to close out the games when it comes to winning the series. But they got it done tonight, so I'll give him credit. Credit to De'Aaron Fox for hitting those shots, but yeah, I still think that Wemby needs to be the one that takes those shots and hits those shots for them when it comes to closing up the games in crunch time. So they got it done tonight. I'll give it to them. I'll give them a pass, and we'll see what happens in Game 4. And Dylan Harper is playing well off the bench. A lot of people are arguing that he should be starting over De'Aaron Fox, but Mitch Johnson's head coach is continuing to go with the veteran, and it makes sense because it's still the NBA Finals. It's still the big moment. Everybody's looking at you, and when it comes to being a point guard, you want the veteran out there that knows, that's been there and done that, and can run the show. And yeah, he's going with De'Aaron Fox, but Dylan Harper's doing his thing. 13 points off the bench, 9 rebounds, and he was getting in the paint like crazy, and using his strength. And yeah, he played very well in his limited minutes, and made an impact. And overall, he played very, very well. And Mitch Johnson's going to keep doing that. He's going to use De'Aaron Fox as a starter, use Dylan Harper as a super scorer, energy guy off the bench, and we'll see if that can continue into Game 4. So, good overall, great performance by the backcourt, of the starting backcourt for the Spurs and the bench. Everybody played well in the backcourt, so great for that. Julian Champagnie, 12 points as well. He did his thing. But a big thing is Devin Vassell really hasn't gotten going in this series. I think if Devin Vassell can get going and find his three-pointer, that'll really help out, because when him and Champagnie are hitting threes on the perimeter, when the defenders sag off of them and try to defend Stephon Castle and Wemby, it's really tough for them when they're hitting shots. So I feel like Devin Vassell needs to get going, and Julian Champagnie needs to keep making the shots. And if they're doing that, then the Spurs are a really, really tough team to beat when it comes to defending them. So that's a big key for them still. So look for Devin Vassell maybe to be more involved in Game 4 and hit some more shots. Same thing with Champagnie, as I said. And yeah, the big guys got to do their thing. And if they're doing that, then Spurs fans, you guys have a chance. There is hope. This series could possibly go back to San Antonio tied at 2 apiece. Because believe it or not, the road teams have won all 3 of these games, and the road teams in the playoffs have really overall in the entire playoffs have really played well. Home court advantage is not as valuable as it used to be. Like, I get it, I'm still in that camp. I still want to have home court, and I still want to have my home crowd in the playoffs, but over the last couple of years, it really hasn't been shown that's really the truth, because a lot of road teams are going in there in a tough situation in a Game 7 or in a closeout game, and they're getting the job done. And as we see in this series, all three games have been won by the road team, and it could possibly happen for a fourth straight game. We'll see what happens on Wednesday, but yeah, the Spurs are riding high, and Spurs fans, you guys have a chance. We know for sure there will be a Game 5, but as I said, you want to go back there tied at 2 apiece instead of being down 3-1. So be confident. Victor Wembanyama is only going to get better. Hopefully, this is a great sign that he will continue to play aggressive and continue to play with that chip on his shoulder and get his team back to a tie series. Stephon Castle will same thing. And if they're all doing that and they're all clicking on the same cylinder, on all cylinders, then this could be a possible tie series. And as I said, this is a young Spurs team, so they're still learning on the fly. And maybe tonight was the teaching moment for them, and they'll possibly put their foot on the gas pedal and really get it done when it comes to winning games and closing out games and the NBA Finals. And if they do that, then yeah, we may have a series in our hands, ladies and gentlemen. And now to the Knicks. This is a little concerning because I get it. They were riding high. They won. I believe it was 14 straight games in a row, and I get it. Not all streaks are endless. They had to have a loss at some point, but to lose a game of this magnitude when you're up 2-0 and you have your home crowd, and the crowd was absolutely electric. They've been waiting so long for this moment. And to go out there and lay an egg like that, I get it. It was a close game throughout, but there was moments and stretches where it looked like the same old Knicks of the past, where it was a lot of Jalen Brunson iso ball, not a lot of movement, a little bit of stagnant play, and that's not a good sign because, excuse me, when the Knicks were flying high, it was a free flowing offense. The Karl-Anthony Towns playing the point center. Everybody was getting their touches and hitting shots, and it was a lot more flow. But from what I saw in this game, it was a lot more of Jalen Brunson ISO, a lot of people standing around, and OG Anunoby played well. I'll give him credit, but he was playing more ISO ball as well, and the ball was sticking a lot, and I noticed that a lot. And I did not see a lot of passing. There was no plays being ran. It wasn't the free flowing circus that it has been the last couple of weeks for the Knicks on this hot streak. And that's a little bit concerning. So if you're a Knicks fan, you got to be a little concerned that Mike Brown might be getting a little stagnant, and you got to hope that he makes an adjustment going to Game 4 and makes some tweaks to the offense to get a little more of a rhythm going from the start. Because as we've seen in the first 3 games, the Spurs have been the aggressor to start every single game. I get it. The Knicks won the first 2, but that was because the Spurs just couldn't close it out, and they were making dumb mistakes, and they let the Knicks hang around, and the Knicks were able to go in there into San Antonio and take advantage and steal 2 games. But in this game, the Spurs put it all together, and they closed it. And if they're doing that going into the rest of the series, going to Game 4, then that's a little troubling because yeah, the Spurs are learning on the fly, and if the Knicks can continue to come out flat in the rest of the series, then the Spurs are going to make them pay. And that's a big key for the Knicks in Game 4. I think they have to come out aggressive. They got to be the aggressor in the beginning and get out to a lead early, because yeah, you're only giving the Spurs more and more confidence on the road, and you're building to get a lead. Because when you have when you're in your home court, you want to step on their throats and you want to keep them at bay, and you want the crowd to get loud and get in their face and distract them. And when you're letting them have a big lead from the start, that's not a good sign. Your crowd is not that much into it, and you're only giving the road team even more confidence through the game. And yeah, the Knicks need to come out a lot more aggressive. Jalen Brunson needs to be a little less of a ball hog, and he needs to let the other guys get involved. And he needs Karl-Anthony Towns to be more aggressive as well. Karl-Anthony Towns was not as aggressive. I get it. He took 10 shots, was 4 for 10 from the field, 11 points. But when they were at their best in the first 2 games, Karl-Anthony Towns was aggressive. He was going at Wemby, and he was making Wemby work on the defensive end. And when he was doing that, that's when the Knicks started to get going. They were hitting threes. They had to double team on the post with Wemby and somebody else, and he was kicking it out, and it was the ball was moving, and there was a lot of 3-pointers being made. But in this game, Cat did not ask for the ball. He did not when he had the ball, he didn't drive it, and it led to a lot of standing around, and that's what led to the Spurs locking it down on defense. Because if it's just iso ball, the Spurs are gonna lock you down because Stephon Castle is a very good aggressive defender. Wemby's gonna sit back there in the chair at the post, and if you come to the rim, that shot's getting blocked or it's getting put in a very tough situation for you to make the shot against him. And yeah, that's an easy offense for the Spurs to defend. So the the Knicks need to have a lot more flow and use Cat and use these shooters when it comes to Cat getting in the post and have more of a flow in their offense. Because as I said, if it's just iso ball, the Spurs are going to shut them down. So Mike Brown needs to make that adjustment, and we'll see what happens in Game 4. And defensively, the Knicks needs to be a lot better at protecting the drive. Stephon Castle was getting in the paint all game tonight. Dylan Harper has been doing it pretty much the entire series, and they haven't been able to stop him. And possibly, maybe you may want to play some more Mitchell Robinson. I get it; he's a liability when it comes to shooting free throws, but the Spurs are getting confident in the paint now, and they're getting in there, and that's a little bit concerning. So you got to hope defensively that you also pick it up as well. And I get it; you're still up 2-1 in the series. You're still at home. You're still confident that you can win the game on your home court in Game 4. But the Spurs finally got a win under their chest, and they're feeling good going into Game 4. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, you gotta the Knicks got to come out ready, and this should be a really good Game 4, and I'm excited for that. And honestly, I did pick the Spurs in 6, so I'm hoping that it is a tight series going back to San Antonio for Game 5. And yeah, I'm just hoping overall, as a basketball fan, that it's competitive. I don't like 3-1 leads because it's just like maybe the team from behind will play with desperation and possibly get it to 3-2, and then the team will have 3-1 lead squashed on their necks and takes all the momentum out of their sails in that clincher. And this is not as competitive. Man, I wanted a competitive NBA Finals. Exactly. So I'm hoping that's the case. But hey, if it is the case and the Knicks go up 3-1, then they're in the driver's seat to win their first championship since the 70s. And go New York, go New York, go. And Knicks fans, you guys could be very, very close to hoisting that Larry O'Brien. And Spurs fans, yeah, if you tie it up, then you guys can take the momentum back and retake home court advantage and possibly win in 6 or 7 games and win your first championship since the glory days of Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. So we'll see what happens, and be excited for Game 4, guys, on Wednesday. And we'll see if this is indeed a series going back to San Antonio tied at 2, or a overwhelming 3-1 lead for the Knicks, and they could possibly win their first championship, as I said, since the 70s. So stay tuned for that. And moving on to the Stanley Cup Final, and a pretty good series as well. In that one, the Vegas Golden Knights got a big win last Saturday in Game 3 on home ice, 5-4 in double overtime. But it didn't seem like that at first, because I was watching this game and I thought after the Golden Knights were up 4-0 going into the third period that it was pretty much a wrap. They had all the momentum. The crowd was going insane. And I did not think Carolina had a chance to come back. Mitch Marner had 3 goals, got a hat trick, played very, very well. He's been by far the best player in this whole Stanley Cup playoffs. And he's been a really good piece that the Golden Knights traded for. And credit to their front office for getting him. And he's definitely delivering for them. And that's a great pickup for them. But besides that, they got up to that 4-0 lead, and then the Hurricanes, they did not give up. They played with some heart. They got 4 straight goals to tie the game going into overtime, and they pulled the goalie Frederick Anderson, who had a tough one. He allowed 4 goals, and they brought in Brandon Boosie, and credit to him. Like, usually when you bring in the backup goalie, it's for mop up time, and he'll probably give up a goal or two because he's cold on the bench, and you're just hoping that possibly he can keep it close. But credit to him, he shut it down in the entire third period. He did not allow any more goals. He gave the Hurricanes a chance of some life to come back, and they ran with it, and they got the game tied, and they were in it towards the very end. Nobody scored in the first overtime. Very, very competitive, back and forth. And then in double overtime, it just finally the air was taken out of the Hurricanes, and Shea Theodore of the Golden Knights got the game winner in double OT, and it was a bit of a backbreaker. But I honestly think that the Hurricanes are a little confident going to Game 4. I get it; they're down 2-1. They're still on the road. It's going to be tough for them to do it. But the fact that they came back from a 4-0 deficit when it looked like it was pretty much a wrap, and I thought it was a wrap as well. And instead of putting their heads down and going back to the hotel and being like, "Yo, we don't have a chance. We're probably gonna get blown out in the next game as well." But the fact that they came back and they tied that game, and it took double overtime for them to lose on the road in a hostile environment in the Stanley Cup Final, hey, that only builds up your confidence. And Vegas agrees with me. Vegas betting books, not the team, they agree with me as well because they're saying that the Canes are slight road favorites in Game 4. So they're seeing what I'm seeing. They're seeing that possibly the Hurricanes are going to build off of this and continue to ride that momentum going into Game 4. And why not? Because yeah, they're feeling good, and I get it. This is a possible hot question. Should they start Brendan Boosie instead of Frederick Anderson in Game 4? I get it. Frederick Anderson is a veteran. He's been around for a long time. He's been in the playoffs many times, but we just saw in that game he didn't have it, and he possibly could have allowed 6 goals because there was two goals taken back because one off of a goal interference, one off of an offside. But even then, since although they were taken off, Anderson did not look confident stopping those shots, and he did not look confident the entire game, and yeah, he does not look good going into Game 4. So I think you gotta ride the hot goaltender, and I will put in Brendan Boosie from the start. And yes, have a pitch count and see how he does. If he allows 2 goals, then go back to Frederick Anderson because you're playing for your life here. I get it. You still have 2 more games to play with, but if you go back to Carolina down 3-1, I think Vegas is going to win at least in 6. So you got to go for broke here, and I think going to Brendan Boosie is the move, and I think that should do it. And yeah, the Hurricanes top line of Taylor Hall and those guys need to continue to provide offense and do their thing and play physical. And that was not their best performance defensively. They've been a very, very good defensive team the entire postseason. But yeah, they coming back from it and locking down in that third period is only going to help them more confidence on the defensive end as well. So that's a good sign. And yeah, I think the Hurricanes are going to tie the series up. I think they have a real shot, and I think it's gonna be very, very good. But Vegas is still has a very good team. I understand. I could be wrong, and most of the time I am wrong. I got to be for real. but yeah, they can come out. Mitch Marner, as I said, has been on the heater. Mark Stone has been very, very good. Made some clutch goals, and Carter Hart has been very, very good in net, except for that third period where he allowed 4 straight goals. But yeah, Vegas is not gonna back down. They're gonna come out ready to play and make it tough. So Carolina has to come out with their hair on fire and come out aggressive in Game 4, and I think they will do that. And we're gonna have a good series here. I'm hoping that we do because as I'm saying with the Knicks series, I'm hoping that series is not lopsided. And the same thing with the Stanley Cup Final. I'm hoping it's not lopsided as well because the last thing you want in the final is a bunch of blowouts and a lopsided series for one team over the other. And I think this series is going to go 6. I originally picked the Hurricanes in 6 from the start, and I think the Hurricanes are going to get it back to Carolina, tied at 2 apiece. So it should be fun to watch, guys. And if you're a hockey fan, this is what you want: 2 gritty teams going back and forth, tough on defense, good on offense, and overall just 2 physical, gritty teams that are willing to put everything they can, putting their body on the line, and do whatever they can to win the game. And yeah, this is great to watch, guys. I'm very, very excited. Both championship rounds have been great, and I'm hoping for the best for competitive wise for both rounds. So we'll see what happens, and stay tuned for both. Stanley Cup Final will continue on ESPN, and the same thing also for the NBA Finals, although it's ESPN on ABC, so that's mostly ABC, but ESPN will obviously do the pre and post game coverage as well. And yeah, guys, this is gonna be fun, and this is the best time of the year for sports fans. NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Final, football's on the horizon, and another thing I haven't brought up: the World Cup is also starting this week as well. Starts on Thursday with Mexico and South Africa with the opening game, and then 2 more games after that. And yeah, the World Cup is going to get going, and I want to talk some World Cup too. So going into the next episode, I will talk some World Cup. After watching the games, I got to be for real. I really don't know the rosters as much, so I need to watch some games here and see how these rosters gel on every national team, every nation, and then I give my insight on who I think will hoist up the World Cup trophy. Of course, if I was just to guess from the top of my head, the favorites would be Argentina, France, Spain, Germany, the usuals. But if I was to bet it right now, I would say France, because I believe that they have the best player in the world, and Kylian Mbappe. The kid is an absolute stud, and he's already won the World Cup in his young career, and I think he possibly will get them to another World Cup title. But as I said, I still have to watch a little more soccer, a little more World Cup soccer, and then I'll for sure make my pick, and I'll tell you who are the good teams here. But as usual, if I was just to say from the top of my head, of course, as I said, France, Argentina, Spain, Brazil, those teams are always good. Germany, and yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch, and I'm very excited for it. All the games are on Fox, and the broadcast teams for those games are gonna be really cool. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Kobe Jones is on the call, Donovan, and a lot of other great voices are behind the mic. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, and this is a great time to be a sports fan. As I said, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, the World Cup, baseball still going on. I'll talk some more baseball after the finals are over in both basketball and hockey. And yeah, man, just a great time to be a sports fan. It's gonna be a fun summer, and I'm looking forward to it. So stay tuned with that. And with that, guys, this was the West Coast Mindset, presented by the Recliner Media Network, and I will see you guys next week.
This the West, 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 West. This the West, 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 the West Coast. This the West, 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 the West, West. This the West, 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 the West.